Who among us here has a phone, a smartphone? If you have a smartphone, please put up your hand to indicate that you have a smartphone. Those that didn't put up your hand, does it mean you don't have smartphones? Okay, I believe we probably all have smartphones. And why I started with that is I'm going to talk to us about passion, purpose, and action. And in this conversation, I'm going to be focused on three things. First, I will talk about the metaverse. There's an individual called Mark Zuckerberg. I think we probably all know him. If we don't, at the end of this conversation, we would know him. Then I'm also going to talk about unicorns. Not the animal that has the long horn that's been in our fables and folklore, but companies, businesses that have been created by Nigerians that are worth more than $1 billion US. And the idea is each and every one of us here with purpose, with passion, purpose, and action, you can create your own unicorn. Then number three, I'm going to talk to you about a young man who, at the age of around 7, watched his first James Bond movie and then dreamed that one day he was going to be James Bond. And today, he runs a business that is spread across about 10 countries in the African continent, and depending on what period of time, employs onto about 400 people at every point in time. And that young man is myself. So first, let's speak about Mark Zuckerberg. At a very young age, while in Harvard, he thought about creating a platform that would bring together, a community to share information, share ideas among themselves. And today, that thought that he had, that dream that he had, is now able to connect about 3 billion people across the world. From an idea that was started in his room, today he's been able to create Meta. Meta has Facebook. I believe most of us here are on Facebook. He also has Instagram, and he's currently discussing this idea of creating what he calls metaverse. Now imagine one individual able to connect up to 3 billion people around the world. He's able to influence changes, he's able to create the ideas. So much. And when you integrate AI, integrate machine learning into what he has, that platform, you can begin to think what just a simple dream has been able to create. Now, quickly to talk about the Nigerian unicorns, I did mention that there are, I think at the moment, about 5 or more unicorns. They have businesses that are worth more than $1 billion US. And how did that happen? They woke up one day, looked at challenges that we have. In the case of Flutterwave and InterSwitch, I believe all of us here, in one way or the other, we've either used Flutterwave or InterSwitch to transfer money. It was one individual who sat down one day, realized that there is a gap, there is a challenge, and then came up with the idea on how to solve that challenge. And today, in the case of Flutterwave, that business is worth more than $3 billion US spread across Africa. So what am I trying to say in essence? Have your passion. Once you have your passion, think about the purpose for which you want that passion, to the direction you want, and then of course, go into action. So I'm going to tell you a couple of tips on how I was able to manage mine, from watching James Bond and then to today managing a business that is able to employ, depending on the time that we have, up to 400 people or thereabout. Number one, in terms of the tips I have for us, is dream big. And in doing this, let your intention be to do good and to solve a challenge. No matter how good your passion, your purpose is, if it's not solving a challenge, it may not necessarily resonate among people. You want to sell a business, you want to sell a purpose, so it should be able to solve a challenge. Mine was several times I've been asked to drop what it was that I wanted to do. It's called enterprise security risk management, and most people find it a little bit difficult. Why should somebody be in security? The moment you mention security, what comes to people's mind is the person who stands at the gate. But I can tell you today, look at our budget. Our budget is about, I think, almost about 50 trillion naira, if I'm right. And there is no sector in that budget that has near as much as security. What is dedicated to security is about 3.6 or thereabout trillion naira. What education has is just about 1 trillion naira. What health has is about 1 trillion naira. And then when you cascade it down and look at what the other ministries and MDAs are having, it will go to about 6 trillion naira. So that's the amount of money that's in security. But let's not even stop there. Last year, our banks lost about 56 billion naira to cyber fraud. I repeat, 56 billion naira to cyber fraud. That's an opportunity for every young man here who is able to use his phone. How do you stop that theft, this stealing of 56 billion naira? Banks are waiting for you. Cybersecurity is a field that is growing. It's growing so wide that today there are more opportunities in cybersecurity than there are capacities or capabilities to fill that. So if you're a young person thinking, for instance, of which direction to go, think about that. Bank would be interested in whatever skill sets you can put forward to block that gap. Number two is to create a concrete plan. Even if you have your passion, you have your purpose, you have to back it up with a plan. Start somewhere. Like I mentioned, Mark Zuckerberg sat down in a room, thought about how to create a community, and then the next thing he floated Facebook. If you've watched his movie, he had to change his plan several times. Today, he's speaking about creating a metaverse. Number three is to execute and refine your plan. No matter how good that plan is, if you don't start executing it, you're not likely to get anywhere. So start. You're going to make mistakes, no doubt, and probably if you're like me, you're going to lose money at some point in time, but don't be daunted. Be driven by your purpose, correct yourself, and that's where the refine component comes in. In today's world, there's M&E. M&E will help you in doing that. That's monitoring and evaluation. You will have key performance indicators. You'll be able to check from time to time, are you on the right path, and then come back to it. Number four is take ownership and be accountable. Here, if you are leading a business, you have to be accountable to the purpose for which you are leading that business. If you have a timeline, a client, for instance, has asked you to do something, make sure you deliver on that timeline. If you don't, ask yourself the critical question, why didn't you deliver? What are the corrective steps that you need to take to ensure that you deliver? It will help you, because if once your reputation is damaged for your inability to deliver, then you're likely to lose clients and nobody will take you seriously. Number five is scale wisely and evolve. One of the greatest challenges in running a business is your overhead. So you have to be very mindful of your overhead. Think about it. Today we have online stores that probably are selling to up to 1 billion people, and you'll be surprised that they probably don't even own any stores. All they have is probably warehouses where if you order, then it's sent to you. So that's one way, for instance, of cutting down your cost. So think carefully when you're setting up, how do you reduce that overhead? But then in doing that, be mindful of being effective and then efficient in running that business. And then number 6 is learn, grow, and invest in yourself. Especially if you're in an industry that is evolving, that is changing by the minute. You need to learn, you need to invest in yourself, you need to make sure that you are always at par, or sometimes even a little bit ahead of your competition, because that's the only way you remain relevant. And then number 7 is take calculated risk and know your boundaries. There are certain things that would come, especially if you're, for instance, people love the kind of services that you offer. You'll be asked to do certain things, so be mindful. Make sure you promise only what you can do. In certain instances where you take on what is too much, it will end up affecting your reputation, and before you know it, your business will be going down the drain. And then, of course, Very importantly, and I think the last point, but no doubt the list, is celebrate your achievements. Very important, no matter how small it is, acknowledge that small achievement. It would encourage you to go more and make more successes going forward. So in essence, what I'm trying to say is let us bring these three things together: our passion, our purpose, and then take action. Let it lead us to where we are. My speech to you is a call to action. Your generation, especially for the young ones here, you are tech savvy. The advantage that you have, we didn't have it. And it would allow you to solve enormous problems that exist around the world, especially in areas of digital science and cyber security, name them. So I'm encouraging you, take advantage of the opportunities. The challenges are opportunities. Take advantage of them, invest in yourself, and you'll be surprised at how far your dream, your purpose can take you to. Don't just chase success, choose significance. Don't just find a job, find a cause. That would be my closing remark to you. Thank you so much.